You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Days of Our Lives fans, I've got your weekly prediction edition. We're going to talk about Xander playing dirty and Eric dumping Nicole. It is Belinda from Soap Dirt. We've got predictions for Xander and Sarah, for Eric and Nicole, for Chanel, Sophia, and Tate, also for Cat and Shane, and for Rachel Blake. Out of the blue, right? If you're not following us, hit subscribe. Let's dive in. Our very first prediction: Xander uses Sarah's past mental health issues against her. So in next week's spoilers, Xander tells Sarah she's insane if she plans to cut him out of Victoria's life. And Sarah asks, what does that mean? And Xander snarks back, bitter and threatening, and says, let's hope you don't have to find out. Thursday's spoilers say that Sarah and Xander are arguing that day, so that's likely when the scene from the promo plays out, with him mentioning insane, which is not for nothing. Recently, if you're current on the show, you saw that Xander came over to the house. He tried to see Victoria, but Sarah didn't want him to. Then she even talked to Maggie about taking Victoria and running out of Salem, but Maggie advised against it, said it might come back to bite her. Xander has been kicked to the curb out of the family's mansion by Sarah and also by Maggie because of his anger issues, for beating up Philip. Sarah's going to do anything and everything to protect Victoria from Xander's dark side, but we're about to see him get a lot darker. So he's in the clear because Philip is lying and covering for him. But Sarah doesn't care about Philip's lie because she knows the truth. Xander nearly killed his brother, and she doesn't want him around Victoria because he is violent. But Xander's not going to tolerate this. So if you remember, Sarah has a bit of history with mental illness. She had a breakdown and she kidnapped little Rachel Black way back then. If you remember, Victor and Xander had swapped Rachel with Sarah's baby that had died because of the car crash that also killed Adrian. And Kristen eventually got Rachel back, but then Sarah wigged out and just had a total breakdown, stole the baby and ran off. So because she was having a mental health crisis at the time, Sarah, didn't do any hard time or anything, but there is a history there that is known. Plus, working against her is that she lied to Xander about Victoria's paternity and was trying to pass her off as the child of Rex Brady. So if Sarah keeps denying Xander visitation, I'm guessing he's going to take her to court. And he basically warned her that her past insanity episodes could cost her custody, which is extremely cruel since Xander and Victor's antics are what caused her mental health issues. But Xander could claim that Sarah is an unfit mom due to her history of mental illness and, lying about the baby. Terrible, but, terrible is what Xander's doing lately. All right, our second prediction, Eric and Nicole split up. So recent episodes had Eric Brady back in Salem. John Black had his last days, and then Eric officiated John's funeral. And of course, we haven't seen Nicole Walker at all. Arianne Zucker is suing Days of Our Lives. So of course, that's the end of it. Even if the suit settles, they don't use actors that sue them. That's not how shows work. So this past week, Holly mentioned that her mom, Nicole, was at graduation, and Holly was telling Aaron that Eric and her mom were both at the ceremony. They didn't sit together. They weren't talking to each other. And that seems like a very specific plot point because they could have just had Holly say that Eric and Nicole were together, but then Holly's mom had to leave and get back to Jude, in Paris. So last we saw of Nicole Walker, she had left Salem very happy with Eric and their little son. We've seen Eric back since then. Of course, we've not seen Nicole and likely won't unless they recast the role for some reason. So we'll see how long Eric stays this time. But I believe he's also back for the 60th anniversary episodes in November. And obviously his wife isn't going to be with him. And he could be back before then, but by November, certainly, if I recall correctly, he was in the anniversary shoots. So I think they're leading up to Eric and Nicole splitting up and saying they just couldn't make it work. That way they can have have Eric back in Salem whenever they want, and the Nicole issue is gone. And I think that was all laid out by Holly's commentary this past week, and that was groundwork for splitting them up. Our third prediction, Chanel adopts Tate and Sophia's baby as a single mom. So this past week, Sophia was worried they've not found adoptive parents. She's stressed out thinking she's giving birth early, but it was false labor, which was good. And, Sarah also just told Chanel at her cancer checkup, it's not a good time to try for a baby because of the risk. And Sarah really gave Chanel, not a lot of hope for her future fertility efforts. So we know that Chanel talked to Tate and she knows there's no adoptive parents yet for the baby. And Wednesday spoilers say Sophia asked Melinda for help arranging an adoption. By the end of the week, Johnny is arrested for attempted murder of his dad, EJ. So Chanel blames EJ already for blowing her chance to adopt a baby with Johnny. She's raged on EJ more than once. Chanel wants to be a mom. She thinks Johnny would be a good dad, but now, this week he's arrested. So Chanel even had a Father's Day gift stashed away for Johnny because she thought they were going to adopt the teen's baby and it was going to be his very first Father's Day gift. Sophia, meanwhile, is desperate to arrange an adoption before she gives birth because she wants to hand the baby off immediately. She's worried that if they have time with the baby, Tate is going to change his mind, bond with the baby, and want to keep it. And Sophia's got plans for her future. So with Johnny arrested, that will make it harder in the future for Chanel and Johnny to do an adoption. So Chanel may decide this is her one and only chance to be a mom because she knows Tate and Sophia aren't going to hold Johnny's arrest against her. And in another adoption scenario, it would be held against her, but this is a private adoption. They all know each other. So will Chanel try and adopt the baby on her own because of Johnny's legal troubles? Our fourth prediction, Shane pushes Cat to continue on with her mission. So Shane's back in Salem, and at John Black's funeral, Cat Greene walked by and addressed Shane quietly out of earshot of everybody else as director, and they both kind of shared a look. So this coming week, Shane's still in Salem for his son Andrew's wedding to Paul. And on Monday, spoilers say that Shane forces Kat's hand. Plus, Rafe has a peculiar run-in with Kat, and he's back working for the FBI, if you remember. And after Rafe talks to Kat, he makes a call saying he's got some info. So I just wonder if the writers are giving Kat more footing and more ties in Salem because it's just, it's a few months away, but Chad is leaving if they don't recast him. We'll see. But they may be doing this by connecting Kat to Shane and the ISA. Is Kat an agent? If so, how long has she been working for Shane, and what info does she give Rafe? I'm very interested, and I wonder if her involvement with Clyde had anything to do with an ISA case. Maybe Kat's been undercover for a long time. We'll find out. Our fifth and final prediction, Rachel Blake sneaks back into Salem. Kristen just used little Rachel's knowledge that Johnny held a gun on EJ to force her brother to release her mom, Rachel Blake, from where he'd stashed her. Kristen had to promise that her nutty mom would never come back to Salem, that Rachel Blake would never confirm that EJ kidnapped Rafe, and everybody would stay silent about Johnny. But this week, little Rachel tells Marlena she knows who shot her Uncle EJ. Looks like she drops a dime on Johnny. And with EJ's son arrested, maybe Kristen feels like she can break the rules and bring back Rachel Blake to Salem. Or Kristen's mom may find out about Johnny's arrest and feel like, hey, I can come back to Salem. She may want to go comfort her namesake granddaughter. So is crazy Rachel Blake coming back? We'll see.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.